Hi, Emily here, Senior Strategist at Barton Sum. This is the fourth and final video in our series, How to Be a Digital Strategist.
Here are some things that successful digital strategists do.
They listen and empathize. So a good rule of thumb is to remove the word but from your vocabulary and replace it with yes and. Also a good replacement for no. Never say no. And a good technique is to, if you're talking to a client or doing an interview or even in facilitating a workshop, to try and pull out what someone is saying, paraphrase it and say, what I hear you saying is X, and allow them to kind of clarify as well to make sure that you are on the same page, and build on other people's ideas. So phrases like "to your point" are really powerful, but I will say, even on this slide, the biggest one is yes and. It's the thing that all strategists at Barton Sum are taught on day one. Yes and will be your absolute friend as a digital strategist.
Going down rabbit holes. So this is kind of that thing where you go onto a YouTube video and then 2 hours later you're like, wait a minute, I'm still on YouTube. That's actually allowed in our field. So, but it's a little bit different. So for example, when we maybe come across a new campaign, we start to dig and we get, oh, that's an interesting piece of information, I'm going to go more there. Or, oh, I'm seeing that they have this interesting thing here, I'm going to look into it more. And you do that to try to figure things out. I'm sure you guys have heard the term reverse engineering. And that's basically what we're doing all the time. We're trying to figure out why something is happening. So when you're seeing something cool or new or interesting, you have to ask yourself, who is using it? What are some of the behavioral things that they're doing around it? And why might they be doing it? So it's okay to be curious and to spend a moderated amount of time being curious.
Always be testing. So a lot of these examples that we've talked about are A/B testing, delving into new ways of doing things, and don't be scared to experiment. It's, something that we do every single day. It could be implementing a new channel, trying new messages, reaching new audiences, but always put it out there in a way to learn from it as well. So don't just put all your eggs in one basket, put 50% here and 50% there and see what works the best is a great technique to use to grow brands.
Be bold and have backup. So here's the thing, when you're a digital strategist, you're kind of the expert. You're going to get into a room and you're going to say, forget podcasts, we're making a blog. Well, great. But why did you say that? So the thing that I like to have in my back pocket is backup. So anytime you have a hypothesis, it's okay to be really bold and to come up with something totally new, but you want to have some data. You're probably going to want some research and you're going to want some examples. And here's the thing that stops really good marketing strategy is fear. People are afraid of trying something new. So you need to have as many things in your arsenal as possible to convince them that it's a good idea to test out, why it's a good idea to test out, and that will help them abandon their fear and do really cool, bold stuff.
And stay flexible. One of our favorite phrases is to have strong opinions loosely held. We actually get paid to have opinions as strategists. So if anyone here, is someone who's been told you have too many opinions, you're probably a really great strategist in training. The important part of that is just to have those opinions loosely held as well. So you're bringing something to the table, but you can be flexible, if there are other opinions out there. So learn to incorporate new ideas, learn to pivot when it makes sense. Just because you've spent all your investment going down, one new road and it turns out not to work, you kind of have to pivot. You have to kind of let go of that sunk cost and meet people halfway. We've talked a lot about workshops and the importance of bringing our clients along the journey with us. They might not be ready to do something radical at the start. So we really sometimes have to meet them where they are as well. And that's okay, because, you know, we're going to get to the great place in the end. It's just going to be a different journey to get there.
Key. You have to be okay with being wrong. So before I became a digital strategist, I sat down with a digital strategist and I asked her, like, how do I be a digital strategist? And she's like, when you're a digital strategist, you're the smartest person in the room. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes you're really smart, and you come up with really cool ideas, but they're not all going to be right, and you have to be okay with them being wrong. If you can't admit when something is wrong and learn from it and pivot to something else, then you're just going to continue down the path of being wrong. So accepting something that didn't work, learning from it, and then trying something else is really, really important to this line of work. And it's also something that we can do because we're normally working with, you know, lower stakes, so we can. It is only a failure if you did not learn anything from
it. And some takeaways, get to know your customer and their experience. Know your business goals. Prioritize, prioritize, prioritize what is most important and has the least risk. Execute and track back. So, you know, just because you put something out there, if you don't track it and learn from it, then it was a useless experiment. And have feedback loops with your customers. So you keep getting to know them more and more over time. That's something that digital and e-commerce has a super power in. So don't forget that, you know, survey, interview on an ongoing basis as well. And also some good takeaways just in, you know, tactics to you, things to do kind of personally as a strategist. And we can share as well the toolkit of techniques that we use to get to know our customers and their experience.